Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Speak and Grow Rich podcast. Today, I have Arthur Lyle with me. Hi, Arthur.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi. And he is such an inspiration. And today, he's going to teach us rich habits to create a rich life. He's going to teach us a little bit about how he went from being a fat boy to a fit boy and how he's won 5 fitness competitions, which is amazing. And also how once time he almost went homeless, which is a serious situation, saved it, and has built a multiple 6-figure business. And he's going to give us all his tips and tools and strategies. So welcome, Arthur. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Amanda, thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much. Yes, so good. Let's get started.
Let's get started. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, how did you get started in business and what's your passion about in business?
Well, great question. Well, first off, I like to say this. Have you ever had a bad haircut? Have you ever had like a bad hairstyle? Right. Well, how about
Yes.
having 2 in one day? Okay.
No.
I had 2 in one day. So that's kind of how I started becoming and getting into business. I was 12 years old. I wanted to get this nice haircut, right? Walked down the street from my grandparents' house, and I had this idea of what I wanted, what my hair to look like. And I was really shy, introverted. I went to the barbershop and I was kind of give them a description of what I wanted, and it looked nothing like that. So
Oh,
nothing like that. But I was too shy to say what I wanted. And I went home, told my older cousin. He was like, "Well, I'm gonna fix it. I can fix it." You know, he was a barber. He thought he was a barber. At least he was a barber then. And so we went to his bathroom, which what he called his barbershop, tried to fix it up and made it worse than what it was. And that was the journey of me becoming a barber and an entrepreneur all in the same, because I had to cut my hair all the way off and start from scratch. And I vowed that day no one will ever cut my hair again. And that's kind of how I started to get into the world of barbering, which is one of my initial businesses that kind of got me on this path.
how fortunate that you turn your pain into prosperity at
Man,
such a young age and you got on your path.
very early, very early, very early.
Very early. Well, you also mentioned you were the oldest of 9 siblings. So
I
you
am,
grew up quick.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you started a barber business, and a lot of people watching, they could have a beauty business, a barber business, hair business, which is very lucrative and very, because everyone's got to get their hair done. I mean, come on. So tell us a
Mm.
little bit about, like, how can we develop rich habits in order to have a rich life?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So, well, your habits is what creates your reality, and to have a the reason why I say rich habits to have a rich life is it starts with your habits, and so many people get on the path of their life based off other people's habits, and your other people's habits is not serving you, right? So, but we don't start off that way. We don't start off in a world with habit. We don't start with the world knowing everything. We're not. But here's the cool thing, man. This is what I found out, that we're all born rich, right? You're born rich, right?
Yeah.
Um, in a good book, it says, "Be fruitful and multiply." Right? You already have, we already have the abundance that God has already given us from the beginning. And but
Mm-hmm.
what happens is over time, you get into the circumstances of following the principles of your parents, and the principles of your past, and the principles of the people that have settled for lack in life, right?
Right.
And and what happens is you create a paradigm,
Mm.
and that paradigm becomes your reality. Now, most people don't know what a paradigm is. A paradigm, all it is a story of, it's a series of stories that you told yourself over a time that shaped your reality. And
Mhm.
sometimes you're living right now the result of the somebody else's story that they created for you when you was a kid, or before you even knew what was going to happen. And you
Right.
you automatically are using that as an excuse for why you have or you don't have what you want.
Right.
So to transition that into having rich habits, you got to reprogram yourself. You have to deconstruct everything that you've ever learned up until now and start
Whew.
fresh. And that's the thing. Like, everything that you have right now has to be reprogrammed, reorganized, and shake all the furniture in your head so you can become a new person today.
Right.
So
It's so true. And so we're born rich. So what would be, so how do we shift our paradigm? How do we even recognize patterns that we're in order to shift those into a rich habit?
yeah, so I think it starts with, like, so one of the things that I talk about all the time is, like, how do you define your rich habits? Well, you got to understand, you got to actually be honest with yourself first. First of all, you got to be honest with yourself,
Yeah.
and identify where you at. Like, where am I at in my life? And, look at these results. If you don't know where you're at right now, look at your results. What are you seeing?
Mhm.
Right? Your surroundings is your proof of what you actually have, what you're having, and what you believe in. Right?
Yeah.
So if that doesn't coexist with what you want in life, then that's when you decide to make a change on what you want to have. Right? So
Mhm.
that's how you start it. A lot of people, they look at their surroundings and be like, well, this was what life created for me. And this is what I figured out, is that most of us, there's a time where you start off just living life instead of existing, right?
Mhm.
Well, and where you should be creating your life instead of just living a life that somebody else has written for you. So I
True.
think that's where it really starts, like with being honest with
Mm.
yourself.
Yes. I call it getting real and getting rich, getting real, getting
Mm.
raw, seeing what you're living right now. So,
Wow.
what are some keystone habits that you would recommend we take on in order to have a successful business?
Yeah, first you need to start with master. You got to master something,
Yeah.
right? You gotta find your mastery. You gotta find out, like, what are you good at? What's your superpower? And before you can, like, start to reshape anything, you if you haven't got serious about what you want, you got to define that first. Like, get clear on what you want. And once you start getting clear, then you can start dissecting things, right? Most people don't know what they want. If you ask the average person, right, what it is that they want, most of them can't answer that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I promise you, if you ask them what is it that they don't want, oh, they got a whole list. I was one of
Right.
them. Look, they were like, well, why you can't do it? Well, my taxes is too high. My mom ain't did this. I'm older than 9 brothers and sisters. I grew up in the hood. Look, I had 2 bad haircuts. I was destined to be. I had all of these reasons why I couldn't see success for myself. Right. So I was one of them. And I got in
Mhm.
an environment where, like, my parents struggled financially. My mom was, I grew up in a single family home
Oh
with my mom,
my.
and then I helped my mother take care of my siblings, right? And like I said, I'm the oldest of 9 brothers and sisters, and the next one under me was I was 7 years older than them, right? So I was already, trying to become, and I had to be an adult really early, is what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
right?
you did.
So all through school, what happened was I had to miss out on some school some days to help my mother take care of my siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, like, I didn't know I could have easily used that for the rest of my life. Like, oh, I'm destined to be, a caregiver. I'm destined. I never had the opportunities. I can face all of those opportunities and all those obstacles, and I can say those are the reasons why I'm not successful. Or I can make a choice and say these are the reasons why I am going to be successful.
Yeah.
Right. So it comes down to your psychology. It's how you see things. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
key things is that you want to master what you say, because what you say is what you see. And when you transition that psychology, that is the first step to mastery. That's the first step to clarity. And that's the first step to changing what you already have and becoming the type of person that can do those things.
That's amazing. That's so inspiring. Right. So people either, so what got you on this path of mastery and learning to take the road that you took and not take the victim road?
Well, that's a great question. So, all right, well, so my story is I feel like um I started off on the wrong path. What I mean by that is I felt like I always seen obstacles. I seen more obstacles as a kid and as a young man as more people see as an adult, right? I've
Mm-hmm.
seen those dark days, and I've seen, what poverty looks like. I've seen what, growing up without your one parent in your life. I've seen all of these different challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once I made a decision after I graduated high school with a 1 point GPA. Um, I had a I just made a decision to try to, like, get my life together, right? And well, I knew college wasn't for me because like I said, I graduated 1 point GPA, and I went to college. I did a try semester, meaning I just tried a semester, and it didn't work out.
At
And
least you tried.
I did try, but it never working out. But the thing was, Amanda, is like I couldn't get any kind of jobs. I wanted to make it to the NBA. That wasn't working.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I can only get jobs at McDonald's, Burger King, and Popeyes, right?
Oh,
Nobody would hire me. And I had this idea that I wanted to be wealthy, I wanted to be rich, I wanted to help people, but it wasn't destined that way. So this commercial came on television, right? And it's kind of like those army commercials, be all you can be, right? Except it
yeah.
wasn't. It was a barber commercial and it said, cut all you can cut, right? Be a barber. And I went to, and I was like, I really didn't want to be a barber, but I was already cutting hair, my cousins and brothers and everybody. So I went to the barber school and just applied, and then uh, I think like maybe 30 to 60 days later, I got a call saying I was about to be a dad. I'm only 20 years old. And I'm like,
Oh,
whoa, I'm
shoot.
a father.
Ooh.
So at that moment, I made a decision. I was like, I got to do something different because I want to make sure I create an opportunity for this person that I'm bringing to this world that
Mm.
I can actually provide. I can actually do some things. And then I just made a commitment that day that I was going to use that one thing that I had, and I was going to squeeze all of the juice out of it. And that was in 2003, and that was my introduction to mastery.
Hmm.
And in 2000, yeah, that was my introduction to mastery. And in 2018, um, I went from fat boy to fit boy. I made a decision to get in fitness, like really get myself fit, and then that became my intentionality to mastery.
Mm. Because I've only known you as Fit Boy.
Hmm.
So just recently, 5 years ago, you were really Fat Boy. Because I'm like, there's no way he was really Fat Boy. He's just being fun. But you really were. So how much more overweight were you?
Well, okay, so I've always been I had always had a thin frame, right? But it's funny. I was always had a thin frame, right? Because I'm a basketball athlete, right? So, but there became a time I was running my business for so many years, standing behind a chair, just running my business. You know, everything else is slender, but then this waist right here just went a
Uh,
whole other direction.
yeah, you're
And
like,
it was way this way, and so I think I don't know how much I was overweight from my height, but um, there was a time when my daughter and we make jokes all the time, right, Amanda? And then she said, "Dang, Dad, your belly looks like the Grinch."
oh,
And I was like, "The Grinch? What do you mean?" So funny thing is we start watching the movie The Grinch with Jim Carrey, right? And I
yeah.
seen skinny guy, he had these skinny legs, skinny top, and his big old belly. I was like,
Oh, gross.
wow, that's how you see me, huh? And so yeah, I was just fat. Like I was fat in the mid part, right?
Right, got it.
It just did not look good for myself. And knowing having the mindset of an athlete, it wasn't for me.
Right. You
So
had like your own basketball. Grinch belly. I love
yeah,
it. Well, your daughter sounds like a huge catalyst in your life. That's your why. That's really pulled you forward. And so, why did you have dreams of being rich? And at a young age, you knew, hey, I want to have money. I want to be rich. Like, how did you even think about that or know about that if you didn't grow up with it?
yeah. Well, I just grew up with an optimistic mindset because I felt like seeing all of I just felt like if this is how it is, then I look on television and other people are seem to be so happy. Not that we weren't happy because we were in poverty, but still happy, right? So
Mhm.
I was like, wow, that's cool that I can be happy and still be in poverty. But what if I can be happy and be rich? That's just how my mind thought,
That's
right?
good.
And I was like, and I always had this competitive mindset that says, if you can do it, I can do it. So
Hmm.
just the competitiveness of that. And I think I didn't know what I was doing then, but I see now is just perspective. It's just seeing a perspective from a different set of lens, from somebody else's eyes. And I just wanted to take that model. So some of my people that I admire, growing up was like a Bruce Lee or Michael Jordan,
Hmm.
right? And these athletes that are rich not only financially but rich in life. And I
Hmm.
desire that. And I think
Hmm.
that's the part that we miss is that we think rich is money, but rich is really the happiness. It's rich in money, it's rich in fitness, it's rich in health, and it's most importantly, it's rich in your mind.
Yes.
The real rich, that's the real wealth. And a lot of people forget that part. And that was the perspective that I had. I already was rich in my mind. I just needed to figure out how to do everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And so you had the role models. So success leaves clues. You knew, hey, if they can do it, so can I. And so what is your biggest passion right now? What do you've overcome so much. You've had this why, you've transformed your body, your business. What is your ultimate passion right now?
My ultimate passion is the purpose of helping other people do the same thing, right? Because I know people,
Mhm.
uh they're challenged by their circumstances, they're challenged by their past, and they're challenged by their beliefs. A lot of people just
Yeah.
don't believe in themselves. And
Hmm.
I know what that feels like, right? I know what that feels like to have an idea in your head that you can be something more, but you don't know how, right? Or you have what a lot of people have is that comparisonitis. You know that you're better than some, that you can do something better because you know you're what you're capable of, but you don't believe it. He's like, oh, that's
Hmm.
possible for them, but not for me, right? And that's just a
Right.
mind, it's a psychology issue. That's just
Hmm.
something that you've told yourself, and now you started to believe it. So my purpose is to help people unlock that barrier, right? And then you can turn, you know, your skill sets, your expertise, whatever you're great at, your voice, whatever it is, and you can turn it into an asset and make money doing it that way. You
Hmm.
know, helping people recondition their mindset that like you can be rich completely. Because if you think about it, a lot of people that create a lot of wealth, they chase wealth and they forget about everything else. I know I've been there, right? So you
Yeah.
chase wealth and you forget about your health, and that's how I got fat, right? And you look at some
Hmm.
of the top wealthy people, on the Forbes list, a lot of them aren't in shape. And a lot of times you think you have to sacrifice wealth for health or health for wealth. Or you see a lot of fitness trainers and they're fit, but they're broke, right?
Hmm.
Because you'll have an excuse to say,
Right.
I don't have enough time. Or
Right.
you're running a business and you say, well, I don't have time to run a business because I got to go get this money, right? And I
Yeah.
got to take care of my family. So then your health suffers. And then if your health suffers, your family suffers, right? Because now
Hmm.
you've created this cycle that trickles down, right? And this mindset that trickles down to your family. So I want to help people unlock that barrier that's been keeping people bondage for so long.
Hmm.
That's what I'm
So
passionate.
good. I love that passion because how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Absolutely.
And it's just almost the same to the point of rich habits, rich life. It's almost like the same habits that you apply in one area, apply those same habits in the different area. Is that what you've done, learned how to do? Like give us an example of how we can be rich in our body and our business.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So on this discovery, of me transitioning my body, right? Um, I discover, I'm a principle guy. What I mean by that is I'm looking for the first principle. The first principle means like where did you first hear it from, right? Rather it's who's the original source. And so once I find the original source, I figure like this, if it works for me, it works for everybody. If it works for them, it works in every area, right? So kind of like gravity, right? Gravity doesn't just work for me, it works for everybody, right? um
Mhm.
Compound interest, that doesn't work for me or just you, it works for anybody that applies it.
Right.
And that's a principle, that's an example of a principle.
Yeah.
So when you got fitness, if you are so mastery, right? Mastery is the principle that I stand on. Okay.
Hmm.
And so I'm giving you an example, but let me give you context. So what is
Okay.
mastery? Mastery is being able to do something effortlessly, over time that you've done consistently and you've developed a skill from it. Okay.
Okay.
So, but in order to be able to do mastery, you got to know you got to know the ABCs of mastery, right?
Hmm.
So you got to have A, accountability, B, the belief, and C, the commitment. Okay. Right. So
Yeah.
now, but without commitment, there's no consistency. And without consistency, there's no real commitment. Okay. Now, what that tells me is if I learn and I work towards mastery in fitness and those disciplines and those action steps that it takes, which is, and I give you an example, when I changed my fitness, I had to meal prep my foods, I had to eat 6 meals a day. I had to drink a gallon of water every day. I had to work out twice a day for 12 weeks. Okay.
Okay.
Consistent. And for me to get on the stage, and I was totally fat, like totally out of shape. And for the next 12 weeks, that was my plan. And I had to check in every week, right? Accountability.
Accountability.
Okay. Now I had a mentor, coach. Okay. Because I didn't believe I can do it. I was never a bodybuilder. I'm a basketball player. So that's the B, that's the belief.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a date, which was 12 weeks out, which meant there was my commitment, right? So those three things are the principles of mastery. So I didn't know what was going to happen over the next 12 weeks. I just followed those three principles. Over the next
Mm-hmm.
12 weeks, I went from, I think I lost like 30 something pounds, and I went
Ooh,
from like 20% body fat down to 3% body fat. And I went from, like I
wow.
said, that to winning. From then on, the rest of the year, from then on, I started winning 5 bodybuilding competitions, trophies, right?
Whoa.
So what does that say? That says somebody that knows nothing about an industry, you can develop mastery in as little as 12 weeks,
That's amazing.
right? So if it works in fitness, it can work in your finances, it can work in your faith, it can work in your family, it can work in anything that you
Mm-hmm.
apply it to, because that's a principle.
That sounds so easy and but it
Yeah,
sounds so easy. And then I love the idea of the 12 weeks because it's just like you had your roadmap, you had your plan. And I think the mentoring was probably really crucial because you were accountable to them, you were committed to them, and then they helped build the belief of possibility.
absolutely.
It's so good.
Yeah, because I didn't have to believe. I had to borrow their belief until mine kicked in.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I didn't have it until, like, I didn't start to see my abs until, like, I don't know, I was like 2 or 3 weeks out. I was like, okay, there they go.
There they
Right.
go.
There they go.
That's great.
So yeah.
That's awesome. I've never heard that. That was an aha. The 3 ABCs of mastery: accountability, belief, and commitment, or was it consistency?
Commitment. Yeah, because
Commitment.
without commitment, there's no consistency. And then when there's no consistency, there's no commitment.
Yeah. You have the plan. This is so good. Oh my gosh. And so in business, you have to do the 3 things as well. So how did you do that in your business?
Absolutely. Well, accountability. So
Because you were
um
almost homeless.
okay, so there was a season, right? And I think that's the thing. Like, a lot of people fail to realize, like, there's a season for everything. There's a time to sow, there's a time to read, there's a time for everything, right? That's in a good book. So whatever season you're in right now, it's just a season, right? So
Mhm.
yes, that was a season when we were running a 6-figure beauty barber business, right? And we had, I don't know, 30 days to get out of our house. We didn't own our house at the time. And I was actually preparing for a big hair show. I used to host these big hair shows, and I would have thousands of people come to Nebraska from all over, right? And they would, do these hair shows. I would compete. They would compete and all of this stuff, and I have all these people here, and I was promoted all over the net, and I'm running my business at the same time. And I got the news from our landlord at the time and said, "Hey, listen, she wanted to sell this house. But we were renting at the time, and she was like, if it doesn't sell within 30 days, you guys can stay for another year. But if it does, then you guys got to be out within the next 30 days. Okay, if it closes. But so those were the standards, those are the parameters. So, okay, I continue to promote my business. I continue to promote this show that we're promoting. I got all these people coming in, and I'm not even thinking about the house. I give no expectation to her selling it, right?
Yeah.
None. My only expectation and my only focus was on my business and
Mm-hmm.
this event. And um, those 30 days are going by and nobody's putting any bids. So I'm like, I'm very
Oh,
confident that we're good. Then the
right.
last day, the 30th day of that month, somebody put a bid in an offer, and it said, okay, they buying. And we got the news and said we have to get out. And like, wow, and at the time, the housing market was crazy. And we had so much stuff. We was already living there, so we couldn't go to an apartment.
Oh
And
no.
my event was within that 30 days. And no, my event was that weekend.
Oh
We had to
no.
be out that 30 days that we had to be out. My event was that same weekend. And so yeah, we had to pack up this whole house for the next 30 days. We're trying to find houses,
Stressful.
anything, while I'm still promoting the show, still running the shop, and all of these things. And then the last day comes, we still don't have a place to move in, but we literally have all our things packed up. And yeah, so that was really stressful. When I'm married and I have a kid in a house,
Ugh.
and I'm like, I failed as a parent, I failed as a husband, I failed as an entrepreneur. You
Mm.
know, I don't know what we're gonna do. But I got thousands of people here because I have this influence and I have them ready for this show, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have anywhere to go home to. And that day, praise God, that evening, I had a client, um, and we were just chatting, and um, he was telling me that he had a house, and I wasn't going to ask anything, but he was trying to find somebody to rent his house to. And
Ooh.
truth be told, and long story short, we were able to move in that night, and literally that night. So we start packing up. My show was the next day,
Oh my
so
gosh.
at night, and I'm doing my hair show the next day, and we're doing both, and we're getting out of his house. So we're doing all of this, and while I'm still promoting the show, I got thousands of people here, and we made this
Wow.
transition. So it was like the grace of God just really came in, and I think I love to tell that story because it was nothing but pure faith,
Mm.
you know, in God that allowed us to be able to make that transition so smoothly because we really had no other opportunity at the time, no other alternative, no other way to go. So
Wow. Praise God. So I'm interested because you're a man of faith. When did you come to the Bible and come to Christ and develop your faith? Did you grow up that way? Have you always been like that?
did not grow up that way. Well, I grew up. Let me rephrase. I did grow up that way, but I didn't grow up in church.
Okay.
Okay. So my mother always, she would read the Bible to us, and we would read it, and she would always build our belief in God since I was a seed. Every Christmas, every Easter, we'll watch the Ten Commandments with Moses, right? So, and that was our family thing, family tradition. But we didn't go to church. We would listen to like Christian music and all those things. And I think when I was around 7 years old, my uncle gave me one of those little small Bibles, a little green thing. It just
Uh-huh.
started the New Testament, and he told me to read this anytime I felt anything, any doubt, any fear, and
Oh,
so he helped me build my belief then at an early age, and so I just started reading the New Testament when I think I was around 7 or 8.
that's
So
cool.
from then, I just kind of took it upon myself to kind of just go deeper in the Word, and yeah.
Mhm. That is amazing. I just always like to hear people's journey with that. So, well, this has been so inspiring. We've covered faith and fitness and business and habits, and it's been so inspiring. And it's so great, just the journey you have been on. So, I know you have a free gift to share with us. So, can you go ahead and share with us how we can follow you
Mhm.
and stay connected and connect with you?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram or Instagram and YouTube at Arthur Lyle. Actually, it's Arthur_Lyle. And there are
Okay.
some fake ones out there. I gotta give you this cap. There's some fake ones out there. I will not DM you saying join my Telegram for crypto. I don't sell crypto, teach internet. So make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
you stay away from those people because they've been scamming people. But um,
Oh,
Arthur_Lyle and Arthur Lyle on YouTube and any other social media. And
okay.
I have a challenge. I have a challenge, and it's called Idea to Income Challenge, where I teach people that has an expertise in influence or business or entrepreneur. Take your idea, your plan, your influence, create a mastery upon it, turn it into a product, and turn it into an income cash machine, right? Because you deserve to
Ooh.
be rich, right? We're all born rich.
I love that. We are all born rich. That's so good. Okay. How do we find out about your idea to income challenge? And I love the name.
Yeah, so I can share a link with you, but you can go to
Okay.
ideatoincome.com and
Okay.
no, no, I'm
Ideatoincome.com.
sorry. It's ideatoincomechallenge.com.
Ideatoincomechallenge.com. Well, that
It,
sounds amazing. Thank you.
absolutely.
Yay. Okay, that was super inspiring. Thank you so much, Arthur, for being here. You guys, if you're watching, go ahead and give him some love. Follow him on Instagram, Arthur_Lyle on Instagram. Otherwise, Arthur Lyle on all the interwebs. And join the challenge, ideatoincomechallenge.com. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you so much, Arthur. And everybody, I'll see you next week. And yeah, watch the next podcast.